Skoda's idea of a performance mid-sized SUV is different to many other rival brands, and more appealing for that. The Kodiaq vRS sells for the kind of money that could alternatively buy you a faster premium badged crossover, but this 7-seat Czech contender delivers more character, more space and family flexibility, cheaper running costs, more traction, more equipment, well, more of just about everything really. None of which would matter if this wasn't really a credible piece of performance engineering. But, rather surprisingly, it actually is.
It's not only the manufacturer branding here that rather handicaps this car in the showroom, but it's also its crossover genre, the 7-seat interior, and, as if all that wasn't enough, a rather exalted price tag. So, in the unlikely event that you were even aware that this car existed, you might easily dismiss it out of hand. But you shouldn't. Not if you want family transport with 7 seats, a bit of character, sensible running costs and a searing sense of speed. Anyway, it's not a combination easy to find for less than £50,000 in today's market. Instead of a high-powered petrol unit that would be pointless in this kind of car, for the Kodiaq vRS, the Czech maker chose to use the most sophisticated diesel that the Volkswagen Group engineering department could offer it, a bi-turbo 245 PS unit with a hefty 500 newton meters of torque, the most that's ever featured in a production Skoda. The top speed is 139 miles an hour, but more significant is the way that this twin-turbo power plant spirits this big SUV to 62 in just 7 seconds, while making a lovely but unfortunately artificially induced growly noise when you flip the drive mode system into its sport setting. Thanks to standard adaptive damping, those settings influence ride quality as well as steering feel, throttle response and the change timings of the DSG paddle shift auto gearbox, which is necessary to harness the twin-turbo power plant's prodigious grunt. Skoda has dressed the Kodiaq vRS carefully to match its premium performance station in life. So there are eye-catching 20-inch extreme alloy wheels, along with red VRS badging on the nose and tail, plus sleeker bumpers, big bore dual exhaust tips and gloss black finishing for the roof rails, the wing mirrors, the window frames and the front grille. None of this does anything to disguise this SUV's quite prodigious size. At around 4.7 metres in length, it's one of the biggest VW Group models to be spun off the conglomerate's MQB platform. Inside up front you get carbon fibre trim and the obligatory sports steering wheel, which, like the gearshift Gator, features red stitching plus aluminium pedals and sport seats upholstered in the same classy quilted micro suede fabric that also features on the door cards. There's a standard 9.2-inch centre dash infotainment touchscreen, and Skoda includes its virtual cockpit digital instrument binnacle display, and that can be customised based on the kind of information that you want to view. This second row bench features all the versatility you'd want from this kind of 7-seat SUV. So the backrest reclines for greater comfort on longer journeys, and the base slides back and forth by up to 180 millimetres. Now this VRS variant retains a third seating row, the kind of thing that some performance SUVs dispense with. Now back here you're quickly reminded that this is an SUV, not an MPV. Overall though, the space back here isn't really any more restricted than it would be in any other mid-sized SUV of this kind. Out back with the powered tailgate raised, there's 270 litres of luggage room with all 3 rows in place. Most of the time though, of course, Kodiaq VRS owners are probably going to be using their cars with these rear seats folded into the floor. That's an action that's simple, pretty easy to complete. In which case there's 630 litres of space on offer with the middle row sensibly positioned like this. With all the seats flat, a class-leadingly large 2005 litre space is revealed. So yes, this is about as practical as performance cars tend to get. Big bore diesel power paired to a 1.84 tonne curb weight isn't a recipe for particularly efficient running costs, but you'll do better, of course, than you would with a high output petrol engine. Skoda's official figures tell us that this car will manage an official WLTP combined cycle economy figure of 35.3 mpg and a WLTP rated CO2 reading of up to 209 grams per kilometre. And in summary, well, the elephant in the room here, of course, is the £44,000 asking price, which gets you any number of premium brand mid-sized SUV alternatives, hardly any of which have 7-seat family versatility, and hardly any of which we've decided, after a week with this car, we'd rather have over a Kodiaq vRS. The formula here doesn't really add up on paper, but in the metal, we think the right kind of family buyer might rather like it.